What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Uncle Dave here. And, I just felt compelled to, come here before you to tell you that God told me to tell you that He didn't tell me to tell you jack shit. And that's real. And I stand before you here today, sit before you here today, still in my bonnet and still in the shirt that I wore yesterday that I slept in overnight, and at some point got this like weird stain on my shirt. I don't really know what's going on because I want you to know that this is real. Not necessarily from God. I don't really know if this one came from God. I think maybe to a degree it did. But like this is my own thought as I've been watching YouTube and a lot of the things that pop up on my feed are recommendations, relevant to my interests. And every now and then, a lot of like Christian content actually has been popping up. And I don't really specifically search for sermons or anything. I am Christian. I would consider myself Christian. Whoa, my bad. Bear with me. While I am Christian, I really don't, if I have to be honest, I'm not the ideal or like the usual Christian, I guess. I don't go to church. When's the last time I've been to church? I could not tell you. I don't read the Bible frequently, although I do remember a lot of the Bible from when my mom raised me on it, back in grade school, and going to church with her and stuff like that, and watching, well into my adulthood, like sermons with my mom, who I lived with until she passed away, roughly a little over 3 years ago now. And, on my recommendations, I've seen a lot of videos recently that basically are like, God wanted you to find this, like God, like if you've been thinking about X topic, like, and, for lack of a better term, basically, they come across almost like horoscopes, It comes across almost like very broad, catch-all, horoscopy type of stuff. Now, when you actually watch the video, a lot of the time the message is good. I'm sure there's good intention behind it. Sometimes it can feel relevant, but at the same time, you know, you look in their descriptions and it's all very, like and subscribe for more of me telling you God's word, like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of small ministries trying to build themselves up, and not even necessarily ministries. It's usually like one person, it's usually just like one individual that's like, follow me for more. And then, they have links to like other things, and it's very professionally produced, or not. Sometimes it's low key, kind of like this one. And I guess really what I'm trying to tell you is that they might not be bad people. They might not have bad intentions, but I'm just urging you to use your own discernment. And, because oftentimes there's like donation links or, like, I don't know. It's like, it feels a little weird, It feels a little weird to me. And I think that's really all I'm here to say, mainly. So I'm urging you to use discernment. If you do find yourself watching one of these, like, if you found this video, God meant this message for you, like if you come across that and you want to go and click on it, sure. Just use discernment. And more importantly, maybe you should just turn off YouTube completely and pray and ask Him to guide you to the solutions that you need to find for yourself. That's just an idea. Just an idea. Now, maybe you don't necessarily know how to do that. So I'm going to share with you a couple of experiences that I've had searching for answers. Because as I mentioned, my mom died 3 years ago. And in the process of those 3 years, now I want to say like the first year was a lot of grieving. The second year was a lot of recovery and building up and kind of finding some things. And the most recent, the third year, I guess, has been just more of that, basically, but like coming out on the other side of things in a better way. And in the process of those 3 years, I still lived in the same house that we lived in. And basically it was almost, I don't really know, man. It could have gone down a dark path because I'm not going to go into the details of how my mom died, but it was a very tragic sort of like, estate related, and like a husband and bad marriage and a lot of stuff. But basically, it left me in a worse position than what my mom really would have intended to leave me as, in terms of like how she intended her will to be carried out. In fact, it wasn't carried out at all because she didn't get to finish writing it. So just imagine where that could go. All right. I'm not going to go into detail in this video, at least. And so I'm basically living in this house that I lived in with my mom for entirely too long. For almost like nearly 20 years with her, and in that house. And it's basically, aside from like little areas of mine, like my room and like the basement that I would hang out in and made sort of office space out of, the rest of the house I kind of left untouched because of the way everything was. I was like, I don't know how much I can rearrange things or move things or take things and throw things away. There's a lot going on. So a lot of the house was just left, particularly like the living room, which was more like her space, and her bedroom, etc. They were just left basically as is. Like basically the same as the day that she never got to come back in the house, and had to be taken to the hospital immediately. So it was just kind of left there, and she was deeply faithful. She was probably the most prayered up woman that I know. Like I said, I used to watch some sermons with her, and basically in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up and I would hear her in her bedroom, and the TV would be on, and she'd be watching some of those popular pastors like Andrew Womack, Creflo Dollar, Stephen Furtick, and so on. And sometimes I would just come in and be like, "Hey, good morning, Mom," and just chat with her about what's she gonna do that day, what am I gonna do that day, and then sometimes I would just sit on the floor beside her bed and just watch and listen and just chill and enjoy those sermons. So she would do that either in her bedroom or on the living room, or sometimes both. Like sometimes if you were in the stairwell between the two, you could hear the same sermon being like echoed, or like one TV would be delayed, weirdly enough. Anywho, she had Bibles like in her bedroom, but also like in the living room. And I think one time I think maybe I was particularly looking for answers, and kind of like I said, I don't tend to do this in a very, I don't tend to consult God first directly, at least. I count on him in a very automatic, like, how can I put it? A very, like, set it and forget it faith, I think is the way I would refer to it. I just know that God is working. I just don't really ask for answers or anything. I don't go looking in the Bible. And what happened was I saw my mom's Bible, and this is probably a year, maybe even two. This is probably more like 2 years after she had died, and I'm still living in that house. And I hadn't picked up this Bible at all yet. It was just there. I just kind of left it there. And I was just like, I wonder what my mom was reading last in this Bible. Like, what's the bookmark? I don't know specifically what she was reading, but those little tassels in the Bible, where was that? So I opened it up, and what I found was Galatians 5. It was, that area. Obviously, I couldn't tell exactly where, but where my eyes drew me to was Galatians 5, particularly 5:17. And I think this is my first tip to you. If you're looking for answers and I'm telling you, go read the Bible, and you're like, okay, but where? What? Try this out, okay? So 5:17 is an important number to me because 5:17 is my birthday. And that's this tip, right? 5:17 being my birthday, my tip to you is give it a try, right? Think of the numbers of your birthday. My birthday, May 17th, if it's not clear enough, right? Find verses that correspond with your birthday number. Just give it a try. I don't know if they're all going to be as poignant and related to you as this one might be, If they do end up being really relevant and speak to you, please let me know. Please let me know what verse you found and what it said and how that relates to you, as I'm about to tell you now. So now I'm pretty sure her version was probably the King James version. Yeah, yeah, probably the King James version. And this one's really relevant to me. And I did a couple double checks to make sure if there's any other versions. I find the King James version can be a little bit like obtuse to read sometimes, so I don't necessarily jump to it first, but I think the wording of the King James version for me on Galatians 5:17 and a little bit beyond is particularly relevant. I'll tell you why. So let me read it. Galatians 5:17, King James version. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things ye would. And I could continue, but honestly, just 17 is enough for me and very relevant to me. But let's just continue, just for a little bit more context. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance? Variance? I don't really know. Might need to look at a different one for that. Emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revellings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ's have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. So that was Galatians 5:17 through 26, basically the end of that chapter. And 5:17 in particular is very relevant to me because prior to my mom's passing, if I have to be honest with you, I was essentially a NEET. I don't know if you know that term, basically a bum, right? My mom was just taking care of me. I had no job. I had dreams of doing things. I had a lot of things I wanted to do. I wanted to be a content creator. I wanted to be an artist, all sorts of things like that. But oftentimes I would be stopped for, I guess just random reasons, just being discouraged and feeling like, oh, it's too late and I'm too old. And even if I start now, I'll still be just a beginner and it won't go anywhere. And then I'll just give up like I already have so many times before. And I'm still losing weight, but like same thing, right? Oh, I want to get in shape so that I could feel more confident in my own skin and my own body, but it's just so hard. And I feel, do I have to go any further? You know, I had so many dreams and aspirations, whether it be career-wise or, I don't know, just personal goals like weight loss or what have you. But I just couldn't. Meanwhile, if I have to be honest, and I will for the purpose of this video, right? Meanwhile, I was basically a pothead. I didn't have any money, but like whatever little scraps of money that I could muster, if my mom gave me, sometimes it would be like, I would do her a favor, and she'd be like, "Oh, here's $50 for gas. Thanks for picking up my husband from from the train station because he doesn't live with us. Here's $50 for gas." And then maybe he would also be like, "Hey, thanks for picking me up. Here's $40 for gas." It's like, oh shit. Well, I mean, I barely drive because I don't go anywhere. 20 from one of you guys would have been enough, but now basically I have like like, I don't know, almost $100 here. I'm gonna buy some weed. Like, it was like that, man. I was terrible. I was a terrible person. And so I would be smoking, and then naturally, okay, I can't afford that much weed. So it's like I would min max, right? Oh, okay. I only really need, do I even need $20 for gas? I'm going to spend whatever I need to on gas. And then I'll buy weed, probably like $30 for like a little 3.5. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe even 25, depending on the deals that the dealers had. And then with the rest, it'd be like, okay, and then I'm going to get like some really good tasting junk food and a milkshake. And oh crap, there's this game on sale on Steam. Basically I would make like a whole event out of like just that $100 or whatever that I would get. And now here I am smoking weed, getting high, playing video games that I shouldn't have bought, well into the night. And then, going further, right? So I'm smoking weed, eating junk food, getting fatter, getting unhealthier. Let's be real, masturbating quite frequently, and kind of like putting my loneliness and my, just lack of interaction with people and whatever, just burying that, just like putting that under the surface as much as possible, nulling my senses and numbing my senses as much as I possibly could. And so it was very poignant. It was very poignant when I opened my mom's Bible, and let's look at that again just to kind of get back to that, right? For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. I think this is crazy because it doesn't even say the things that God wants you to do, right? So that you cannot carry out God's will. Like, it doesn't even say that. It's just talking about the things you want to do. And it's crazy that the flesh, aka your own body, is the thing standing in between your spirit and actually making things reality in front of you. Is that you can't get your fucking fingers to fucking do the right thing, instead of like grabbing your dick or and just jerking it, or grabbing the fucking junk food, or grabbing, I don't know, a job application, or the content, the pencil that I wanted to draw with, or this camera to film with. Instead of doing any of that, it's all the wrong things, right? And it's all my flesh. And like, we don't even have to be, let's make it real. You know what I'm saying? Let's make it real to the point that even a non-Christian can understand. Do you understand that you are an animal? You know, like, I know a lot of Christians don't necessarily believe in evolution and such, but like, let's be real, right? Our biology is against us in so many different ways. It's for us in so many different ways, but like, your biology is made to be adaptive to stimuli. This is how God made us. And so the reality is that your body wants to do whatever's best for the situation. And the situation, it used to be not within our control, right? The situation used to be we lived in nature, out in the wilds, and we had to hunt, and we had to gather, and we had to build and be together and do stuff like that. And so there wasn't very much in our control. But at some point, we made it so that we could control everything in our environment. I don't have to sit outside. Like, there's a window right here, right? Like, I don't have to be out there. I don't have to go out there. I don't have to sit out there in whatever weather, whether it be cold or hot. No, I can be in this box and control the climate to feel just right, so that I feel perfectly comfortable. And that's good. That's cool. That's nice. But now we can do way too much to accommodate to our flesh, right? Every little thing that our flesh is desiring, our bodies, right? Let's bring it back to earth, right? Your body wants to do certain things. Your body wants to eat food just to survive, really. That's all it's trying to do, right? Your body prompts you to give in to lust and masturbation. Not But it's like, well, but we're made in God's image, right? So, the thing is that lust exists in us for a reason. I don't know if this is in the Bible. That's why I say pick it up and read it for yourself. But like for real, right? God gave us eyes. God gave us these impulses, and like he made men look a certain way generally. He made women look a certain way. And it is good and pleasing to us, right? Just like God said when he made all the earth and the creatures on it. We have lust for a reason. We're supposed to kind of follow our nose wherever it goes, Toucan Sam style, and actually give in to that to a degree, right? To a certain degree, it's supposed to work that way. Attraction is a real thing. It's a biological thing. It's built into us, and God made us this way. Up till the point that, right, it's like there's a line, and we keep crossing that motherfucker. We're not supposed to give in to that lust with every single human being that we find attractive in real life, and then especially with the internet and our ability to just pleasure ourselves at will at any time of day, infinitely with infinite variations, and especially I don't know, like magazines and paper media was like the first stage of variation increasing, right? Oh, now I could read a Playboy, and I could pick up next month's Playboy for even different, maybe even hotter girls. And then the internet. Oh, now I could read all the Playboys because somebody scanned them. And there's more stuff. And now there's videos, and now girls can get on there, or guys can get on there, whatever, and make real, like, new content independently. They don't even need to be published. And then now there's AI. Now it's like, okay, now we have all the media that has ever been made in this vein, and now we can create new variations that don't even require anybody's consent or participation, willing participation. We could just make it. You could just make a fantasy. You could find the hottest girl you like facially and the hottest body, and you can like combine the two, and then you can like map that onto your favorite porn with like your favorite like visual like motions and stuff like that. And you could basically make your dream girl do your dream things, and you're not part of it at all because it's all on a screen. That's where we're at now. And this is all the flesh, this is all our biology prompting us to do this because on a base level, this is how we were made by God, but we've taken it too far. And this was very poignant to me because all of those dreams, all those aspirations that I had, I was not able to do them because I was too busy giving in to my biology. 5:17, right? It was almost as if that was my verse, right? This is almost like this is sidetrack from like Christianity for a bit. I forget. I don't know. I watch a lot of Dr. K content, and he's more like Hindu and speaks like that. This was almost like my dharma, I think, right? Like my life mission, right? It's almost as if I was put on this earth to have this problem. The Galatians 5:17 problem is the David problem. You'll have things you want to do, and you'll have a spirit that wants to sing and dance and make creations and art, but your flesh is going to be in the way of that. And unless you get that handled, you ain't going to make shit, son. That's the Galatians 5:17 problem, the David problem. That's what it felt like, right? It almost felt like, oh shit, this is my life out till now. Oh man, like, so tip 1, I urge you, get in the Bible and look around for verses that correspond to your birthday. I don't know if you'll find anything that way. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I found something very poignant, very relevant to me. Tip 2 is just open the fucking Bible. Like just open it. Just open it. Like flip through in a very random way. Like don't rely on bookmarks and don't go to anything in particular. And I don't know, just open it to a random page and maybe keep trying that, if you have to. Like, so there was a period of time during the same sort of like 2 years ago or 1 year ago, but like 2 years after my mom passed. And I kept waking up like around 3 to 5-ish, 3 to 6-ish a.m. I was like, what is going on? Like, I should be able to just stay asleep. I don't usually have problems sleeping. So then I looked into it. Of course, there's somebody that made a YouTube video about this, right? If you keep waking up between hours of 3 and 5, God is trying to speak to you. And their video was very straightforward and to the point, whichever one I found at that time. They were basically like, yeah, this is the witching hour, or I forget what they call it in the Bible, but it's something about like the first watch, I think is what it was called, where in fisherman terms, between 3 and 5 is the... Google is like listening to me. Shut up, man. The first watch, I guess, is basically when the first, fishermen would go out and set out and get on the boat and do fishing stuff. And I guess like this is in the Bible, they specified that like this one occasion, that's when I think God or Jesus like spoke to them and something. I'd have to look into it. Probably should have looked into it before I started this video. So basically the guy's video that I watched was basically like that happened in the Bible, and that's when God told them, listen to me, do this. So just open the Bible, right? Just pray. This is a time where God is saying, commune with me during this time. Apparently, they call it the witching hour because apparently this is the time when, I guess, if you were to remain asleep, this is the time when most people are asleep, and therefore the boundary between the waking world and the sleep world and the spiritual is like the weakest, I guess. You could say this is when the connection is the strongest and the barrier is the weakest, right? I don't know how real that is, but it makes some sense, right? So, of course, I got in there, and I think I tried this out. I was like, okay, well, first of all, I tried praying, but then I opened the Bible to the book of Daniel, and the book of Daniel is pretty crazy. So there's Daniel's story. Basically, I read the whole book of Daniel this time that I did this one, and it was by complete random. And literally just Daniel, like the first page of the book, like the title page, the book of Daniel. Like that's where it left me. And so I was like, dang, okay, I haven't read Daniel in a minute. So I go through Daniel, and Daniel's story is interesting, but then I guess I didn't realize that Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, that's also in the book of Daniel. I think it might have been like Daniel and the three amigos or something like that, the three musketeers. Where Daniel's story was cool, his first story, I should say, where he was thrown into the well by his own brothers and became, this guy, this esteemed guy. But then Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, their story was very poignant to me too. Because throughout this whole thing with my mom and her dying, like I said, it was a very weird situation, and she had a husband involved, and, I guess I have to dip into this a little bit, but basically, long story short, he didn't do right by her, and a lot of my family was, prompting me to, I guess, like, be a lot more vengeful, a lot more like, oh, well, you should fight back against him and you should do this to him. And, sometimes it would be like you should spend your energy to do things legally against him. And then sometimes it would be like, forget legality. You should just do whatever you can to be petty, take this opportunity to treat him like crap. And I was like, now this one, in the moment, like day one after my mom died kind of thing, they were saying that. And I was basically like, no. Yeah, he's in the wrong, but it's not my responsibility to do it. The battle is the Lord's. I know I heard that from somewhere. I didn't know that David is the one that said that. I don't know. He might have been the first. I think it's said in the Bible multiple times. But my boy said that. You know what I'm saying? My namesake was the person that said that. I didn't realize that he was saying that. He was like, the battle will not be won with swords. The battle is the Lord's. I don't need this crazy armor. I got a slingshot and the word and God, So fast forward to this moment, and I guess just like seeing their faith being so rock solid, and they were basically like, hey, we're going to throw you in the fire. Are you sure you guys want to do that? And they were like, yeah, man, just run it. They're just like, run it. All right, cool. Fire, pit. All right, whatever. And they just go in. And I guess like what stuck out to me is that they were in the fire chilling, bro. chilling in the fire, like literally direct opposite. They were in there practically, I don't know, playing chess or like, I don't know, like red light, green light with like an angel or something. And then like some soldiers, they were like, "Yo, crank, what's going on in there? Are they having fun in the fire? Yo, turn that shit up. I'm like, crank it up, make it hotter." And then when they tried to do that, they made it so hot that the people that went over to make the fire hotter got burnt to a crisp. Like, meanwhile, the three amigos are in there chilling, bro. And then they come out, they're like, "Well, it's over." Like they come out completely unscathed, completely untouched. And I guess like what that showed me was that with the power of God, right? When you're actually listening and you're following and you're faithful, you will go through things that other people will look at from the outside looking in and be like, that must be hell. And if they were in it, they would be burnt to a crisp. Metaphorically speaking, maybe literally speaking sometimes, right? With God, you will go through things that would burn any other person alive. Would any other non-Christian or any other faithful Christian, for that matter, it would tear them apart. It would burn them alive. But you can go through it with such grace that people are like, how are you doing this? What is going on? That was my takeaway from their story. But then, after their story, this one is so hard, bro. Y'all need to read Daniel in the Lion's Den. Daniel in the Lion's Den is such a gangster's story, bro. When I read it this time, I was like, hold up. Let me summarize this for you, right? So Daniel's like a high, he's a pretty high counselor to, what's his name, King Darius of whatever country they're in. And it's like, basically it's like, look, Daniel doesn't believe in our pagan god, but Daniel be spitting though. Like, he's very wise, and everything he tells King Darius to do usually ends up being right. So by this, somehow this whole time he gains this position of power, and they continually look at him as like, he doesn't believe in our God, but his God seems to be right, like more often than not. And when he tells Daniel to tell us something, I don't know, it just works out. So they continue to not believe in Daniel's God. But meanwhile, they're like, but Daniel's God be serving him very well, so let's make him a higher position. I don't know, it's so weird that he got that high, despite being not the same religion. It would be the same as like some Muslim. No. I guess like, well, maybe like to make it something more crazy, some Buddhist guy or the Dalai Lama going to like Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabians basically making this like the Dalai Lama one of their highest advisors. Right next, like, and then like where they station him is like right next to the Mecca or something like that. Like that would be insane, right? That's essentially what was going on here. And so needless to say, the other advisors that were the same religion of King Darius and that kingdom, they didn't like this. They didn't like Daniel. So the whole story of Daniel in the Lion's Den is essentially these guys doing some like Home Alone ass fucking pranks to basically like set Daniel up to get thrown in the Lion's Den. They go to King Darius and they're like, King Darius, this is out of the blue. King Darius is over here eating grapes, just chilling, just like, whatever. And then these guys come in, King Darius, and he's like, huh? Like, what's going on, guys? And they're like, hey, so you're the king, you're the best, you're the top dog, right? And he's like, yeah. Well, okay, sure. What's up? And they were like, well, you should make a decree that basically says anybody that doesn't worship you and your God is a bad person and should be thrown in a lion's den. And he was like, I mean, I am the king and I am the top dog and our God is the best, I guess. Like he was so unsure about it. Like he was like, I don't know where this came from, but like, okay, I mean, I guess you guys are right. And we're like, okay, cool. Well, just sign here and we'll go put that decree out. And then as soon as he signed it, he was like, oh, okay. And then they do it and they're like, hey, Daniel. They basically set up a situation to be able to tell on Daniel. Hey, look, Daniel, your highest advisor, he doesn't believe in your God and he doesn't bow down to you. So he should be thrown into the lion's den as per your most recent decree, right? And he was like, fuck. He's like, yes, I guess so. This whole time, right? This is why I say this story of Daniel is gangster. Daniel doesn't say a single word in this whole story until the very end. Like, he starts the story, it's almost like, imagine like the sun rising. Like, he's just praying to God. They don't even say what he's praying about. It's just like Daniel was praying, as usual, as always, to his God, praising his God, doing his thing. So even the morning when they went to go pick him up and throw him into the lion's den, he was just like, he already knew what was coming. He could see them coming. He was like, but again, we don't have any dialogue from Daniel this whole time. He's just like, just praying, just chilling, right? And they were like, yeah, we got you, Daniel. We got you. So we got to throw you in the lion's den. And then King Darius is over here. He's like, Daniel, I'm so sorry about this, man. They got me. They trapped me. I hope you understand. All I'm gonna say is I didn't want to do this to you. So please, if your God is real, let him be real right now, okay? Please, man, make this out. I didn't want to do this to you, but I have to do this to you. Otherwise, I would look like a weak king. So they throw Daniel in the lion's den. Again, not a word. They march him there. They put him in there. Hey, all right, so we're going to put you in here overnight. And you're going to be eaten alive by lions. And King Darius is like, please make it out. We'll see you tomorrow. Or not, I guess. And then they leave him. And then Daniel goes in there, and the lions are chilling. And this is what I imagine happened, right? Like, Daniel's in there, and, like, basically, to me, again, it feels like Daniel's in there playing tic-tac-toe with lions. He's just... So what... like, it's almost like, so what brings y'all here? Like, he doesn't have any dialogue yet. At all. He just goes in there, the lions are calm, the lions are chilling. And I just imagine, like, as the crack of dawn is starting to happen, it's starting to approach that time when they're going to come and open the door to see what happened. I just imagine him be like, hey, y'all hungry? All right, cool. I got Uber Eats on the way. And then they get him out, before they even get him out. This is the only time Daniel spoke in this whole story. Darius is like, yo, Daniel! You in there? You still alive? And he's like, hail King Darius. Yeah, I'm good. That's basically all Daniel said. Yeah, I'm good. And that basically at that moment, and that's when the other counselors knew they fucked up. That's when they were like, and King Darius is like, so they open him up and they're like, King Darius is like, so you know what that means, right? Y'all know what that means, right? Daniel out, y'all in. Close it up. And at that point, that's when King Darius had to acknowledge, he was like, Daniel, your God is something else, bro. Yeah, no, your God is something else. He's really real. Meanwhile, these guys are getting torn flesh from limb by the lions who have been waiting to eat something all night. And they got delivery, and Daniel got delivered. So, I don't know, that's what I discovered from just opening the Bible and reading where it put me, The book of Daniel, incredible story. Big stories about faith, big stories about believing and staying strong, big stories about being persecuted and having fingers pointed at you as if you're doing something wrong when you know you're not. You're just following God's orders. But some people don't like that, man. Some people don't like your success. And you don't have to say nothing. You don't have to fight against them. You don't have to do anything against them. Just keep staying strong, stay on your path, and you'll learn. You'll see. And they'll see too. And they might get eaten alive. They might get eaten alive, or they might get burnt to a crisp while they try to pry and spy on you and poke fingers at you and persecute you. You don't have to do a dang thing. Just stay on your path, do what you got to do. So, yeah, let me wrap this up because I've been going long. I don't know how to be short. Yeah, God didn't tell me to tell you anything specific. If anything, he told me to tell you that he's already told you everything. It's in the Bible. Go read it. Look for your birthday chapter and see if there's anything relevant there. If not, just pray and open to some random pages and just read some stories. You never know, right? It doesn't need to be what you were looking for. You might find what you were looking. How can I put this? You don't have to go in looking for the specific verse that speaks to you about the thing, right? If you're sick, maybe you don't need to go look for verses that talk about healing from sickness, right? Maybe you open the Bible randomly and you're going to find chapters that are not about healing sickness, but simply about having faith. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're going to find chapters about forgiving. Maybe you'll find chapters about, I don't know, just all sorts of things. The fruits of the Spirit, you know? You might have an issue or a lack in one area, and by reading and understanding a completely different area, you might find a greater understanding of the area you came looking for. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I don't want to go too much longer trying to explain that or elaborate on that. Hopefully it's self-explanatory. You might gain something that you weren't looking for, and that might be the best thing for you in this moment. So have some discernment. Watch those videos that you come across, but just have discernment and look into it for yourself. Pray for yourself. Walk in faith with yourself. I think that's probably the most important part, is just walking in your own faith and seeing what God actually has to say to you without the filters, without a middleman. It's worth a shot. Anyways, Uncle Dave, out.